In a town called Red Crow, an Indian reservation, a fisherman named Jisigu is shown successfully catching some fish. Upon reaching the shore, he begins to clean them. However, Jisigu is stunned when he notices that the fish are still moving and alive. In the next scene, the sheriff of the town, Trailer, responds to a call from a resident about a dying dog belonging to his wife, Joss. The man who reports the incident witnessed the dog behaving wildly in the area, eating everything it saw, and suspects that it might have been poisoned, and Trailer eventually decides to put down the dog. After this, he goes to Joss, who is a nurse, where she informs him that their son, Joseph, has been arrested and is now in jail. However, Trailer says he will go later because he wants Joseph to suffer for a while. Joss asks if he has seen their dog, but he denies it. In the car, Trailer learns that his eldest son, Lysol, from his ex-wife, is also with Joseph in the prison. He also learns that his father, Jisigu, is urging him to come to his place for an unknown reason, so Trailer immediately drives to see him. When he arrives, Jisigu asks him to look at the fish in the box, and Trailer is shocked to see the fish still moving despite being gutted. Jisigu says he has never seen anything like it in 60 years of fishing and admits he is scared. Trailer suggests they burn the fish, but when they step outside, they notice the trunk of his car is moving. When they open it, the dead dog he had put inside is still alive, so Trailer shoots it again. They then burn the dog and the fish. But Jisigu observes that the fish are still moving even after being burned. Meanwhile in prison, Trailer's sons, Joseph and Lysol, are with another inmate who is vomiting, which disgusts them. However, they are later shocked to see the inmate vomiting blood. Meanwhile, Trailer and Joss arrive at the station and learn that the boys have been arrested for climbing the bridge and defecating on the drivers below. When they open the cell, the sick prisoner becomes violent and begins attacking them. He bites Joseph on the arm and another police officer, prompting them to quickly work together to subdue him and lock him in the cell alone. On the way to the hospital, Joss scolds Joseph for acting immaturely and causing headaches for his parents. Joseph responds that his brother has been going through a lot since Trailer left him. However, he promises his mother that he will stop his reckless behavior from now on. After being treated at the hospital, Joseph meets his pregnant girlfriend, Charlie, who is there for an early pregnancy termination. Joseph begs her to keep the baby, assuring her that he will take care of her, and eventually, Charlie changes her mind. Meanwhile, Joss looks for tetanus shots, but is informed by a colleague that they are out of stock. It turns out that several people had come in with bite-related injuries over the past 24 hours. At that moment, a commotion suddenly breaks out inside the hospital as a man behaves erratically, similar to the prisoner. Later that night, Trailer responds to a call from a man named Shooker. Shooker reveals that his wife is acting strangely and trying to attack him. When Trailer enters the house, he is horrified to see the woman biting her newborn baby. He tries to stop her, but the woman becomes aggressive and bites him instead. Trailer runs outside to treat his wound, but the woman follows him and attacks his Shooker. This time, Trailer decides to kill the woman and quickly leave the scene with Shooker. While rushing to the hospital, Trailer calls his radio operator, Doris, who informs him that Joss had called their office to warn them not to let anyone bite them, as they will turn into zombies. However, the reason behind this remains unclear. Trailer drives quickly to the hospital and, on the way, comes across an ambulance that has been in an accident. He discovers that Joss, Joseph, and Charlie were passengers in the ambulance and that the people with them had turned into zombies. After helping them out of the ambulance, others arrive to assist and burn the zombies. However, Jisigu reminds them that the zombies are still moving despite being burned. 6 months later, the pandemic has spread, and the entire Red Crow area looks like an abandoned city. Catching zombies has become commonplace, and the community has adapted to such situations, and they now have set up a camp for the uninfected. They discover that their native people are immune to zombie bites, while others are not. This explains why Trailer and Joseph are still alive despite being bitten by zombies. Meanwhile, Joseph and Charlie bring in a man seeking help for his daughter, who has been bitten. Lysol becomes furious and berates his brother for bringing other people that has chance to become infected into their camp. This leads to a heated argument, during which Lysol points his gun at Charlie's stomach, accusing her of also being a zombie. Trailer immediately rushes and breaks up the fight and explains to the girl's father that they can no longer save his daughter and urges him to save himself. They allow the man into the camp and Trailer finishes off the young zombie. Inside the camp, a woman speaks to the grieving man, telling him he is not alone in such a situation, as almost all of them have lost relatives to zombies. She advises him to try to move on from his daughter's death. At the camp clinic, a woman named Lilith arrives. When Joss asks if she has been bitten, Lilith angrily denies it and asks where the bathroom is. However, while inside the bathroom, Lilith's lie is exposed when she examines a bite on her stomach. Meanwhile, the father of the girl decides to follow her, but he quickly turns into a zombie. Lilith discovers this and immediately informs the others, and Trailer arrives quickly to handle the situation. Soon, Trailer and his crew begin planning their next steps for survival. Their biggest challenge is the overwhelming number of zombies and their dwindling ammunition. They block more zombies from crossing the bridge using old trucks, but Trailer worries that their defenses won't hold for long. Meanwhile, Charlie and Joseph talk, and Charlie shares that she had a dream where their baby was eating her. This has made her deeply worried about what might happen if their son is not immune. She also expresses fear about staying in the camp, noticing that many men stare at her often since there are so few women, and Joseph is frequently away. But Joseph reassures her that nothing bad will happen, and they kiss. Meanwhile, Joss examines Trailer, who has been injured by the zombie father. When Trailer removes his shirt, numerous bite marks are visible on his back. Joss stitches up his wound and informs him that there is no anesthesia, so he will have to endure the pain. Trailer brushes it off and tells her that the worst is still out there. Later, they encounter Lysol, who is very drunk and expressing resentment toward everyone. He criticizes them for ignoring security measures and bringing outsiders into the camp daily, putting everyone at risk. Lysol also expresses disdain for Trailer's leadership, arguing that he is not a strict enough leader. Lysol claims he is better suited for the position and points out that he has more followers than Trailer. Later, while talking with Joseph, Lysol reveals that he and Lilith used to be lovers but broke up after an unfortunate incident, and that incident leads to his arrest by the police. After this, Lysol approaches Lilith and takes her to a room. However, a few minutes later, Lysol can be heard screaming. When Joseph checks on him, it reveals that Lilith has now turned into a zombie and made Lysol's pet her dinner. Meanwhile, Trailer, Jasigu, and Bumper go searching for supplies. They arrive at a gas station where they quickly clears the area of zombies. Back at the camp, Joseph brings his injured brother to see Joss, but Lysol refuses treatment and declares that their world is hopeless and that they are all going to die. Joseph insists that there is hope as long as their family remains intact, but Lysol suddenly stabs him, saying that he has no family. Afterward, Lysol takes Joseph and Lilith to their quarters and releases Lilith to their companions. Fortunately, Lilith does not attack Joseph, so he immediately goes to their room and tells them what happened. The number of infected people inside the camp quickly increases, and they become trapped in their room. Meanwhile, Trailer and his companions return to the camp and witness the chaos unfolding inside. He quickly contacts Joss via walkie-talkie and learns that, except for Lysol, his family and the others are trapped and need their help immediately. Trailer uses the car's music to attract a horde of zombies, and Shooker leads them away. Once some of the zombies in front are gone, Trailer and his men enter the compound to rescue the others. They soon find the family and other survivors and quickly help them to the truck, waiting for their escape. However, the zombies break free from a trap in a room and charge at them, forcing Trailer to use his gun in defense. Unfortunately, this attracts more zombies and traps them in another room. In order to allow his family to escape, Trailer stays behind to block the door. He holds the door as long as he can, but the zombies eventually overpower him and begins ripping his body, making his immunity irrelevant. Although furious, his family does nothing and quickly leaves the area. While driving, they receive a radio call from Doris informing them that Lysol has captured several other survivors inside the church. Jasigu says that he will go to them, and Lysol immediately dispatches Doris afterward. Jasigu orders Bumper to accompany Joseph and Charlie to his house, while he and Joseph go to the church. When they arrive at the church, Lysol is gone, but his two accomplices are terrorizing the area. Jasigu demands to know where Lysol is, but the accomplices refuse to answer. Jasigu and Joseph quickly take them down and rescue the captured group. Meanwhile, Bumper watches over Joss and Charlie near a lake, waiting for Joseph and Jasigu, while at the same time Charlie's stomach begins to ache. But Lysol suddenly appears and hits Bumper, who immediately falls to the ground. It is revealed that Lysol's true motive is to kill Charlie and her unborn baby. Lysol approaches Charlie to finish her off by feeding her to a zombie, but he is immediately shot by Joss. However, before he dies, Lysol releases a zombie from the trunk of his car. The zombie quickly approaches Charlie and begins attacking her just as Joseph arrives and kills the zombie and discovers that Charlie has already been bitten. In a fit of rage, Joseph stabs his crazed brother and leaves him for the zombies in the area while they escape. They return to Gisigu's house and find that Lysol has burned Gisigu's boat, causing them to lose hope of survival. But then Shooker arrives with a boat to save them. They prepare to leave as a horde of zombies rushes toward their location, prompting Gisigu to declare that he will stay behind to fight them, giving them time to escape. Although Joseph is against it, he prioritizes the safety of his family and leaves. Using a samurai sword, Gisigu faces the zombies and fights them off one by one, and although badly injured, he is able to defeat the zombies, allowing Joseph and everyone escape the place. Meanwhile, on the boat, Charlie is forced to give birth before she turns into a zombie. Joss and Joseph help her, and Charlie finally gives birth to a girl. Joseph quickly examines the baby and confirms that she is not infected, and allows Charlie to hold her child for the first and last time, but still brings her joy. However, Charlie knows she doesn't have much time left, so she gives back her child to Joseph and begs him to kill her before she turns into a zombie, and Joseph grants her wish. In the end, Joseph shoots Charlie and embraces her, while Joss contemplates their future while holding the new member of their family. We'd love to hear your thoughts about the movie. Feel free to leave a comment below and share any details we might have missed. If you enjoyed our recap, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more. Thank you for watching.